Hey everyone, hope you're good. Hope you've had a good week. Back again. This week, 3 secret VST plugins. One of them is nearly 20 years old, believe that or not. I'm going to show you how to get the best out of these plugins. They're still available. Your mileage may vary, and disclaimer, they're wrapped, two of them are wrapped 32-bit to 64, but now there's a 64-bit version of one of them. So there's also one of them that's Cubase centric as well. So I will give you alternatives of that you can use, but these plugins will help you inspire you whether you're using vocals or beats. I find them to be like a really cool thing to go, oh, okay, get a beat, what do I do? Chop it, rearrange it, it still needs something. And then these plugins will help you elevate stuff as well, and for vocals and all. So I'll put everything in the description, the links to the companies, the wrapper program as well, because I'm using it wrapped, like I said, because I have old 32-bit plugins that I still use. And again, your mileage may vary, but Cubase 13, I have quite a decent success rate of having old 32-bit plugins in the 64-bit realm with the wrapper. And I'll put the wrapper information down underneath as well. It's really cheap, really cool wrapper. Works perfectly, to be honest, for most old plugins. And I use some old plugins literally to load old projects and start modernizing with the modern plugins and stuff. But there's some really cool plugins from back in the day, as you will see in today's episode. So let's get to it. 3 secret plugins, VST plugins. They will inspire you and they are pretty cool. And maybe I'll do this as a series and keep doing more secret plugins. But these are plugins that I've used for nearly 20 years, pretty much. Well, one of them anyway, definitely. And they're in every track. Every track of mine you hear from 2000, early 2000s, this will be in, well, 2 of these plugins will definitely be in there, 100%. So let's get to it. Okay, so the first plugin up is this. You may or may not have seen this. Boys. Oh my god, this plugin, amazing plugin. I think it's 2001 or something, so it's pretty much 2 decades old now. Love this plugin. A lot of my tracks came out on this. One track in particular was on Emotive Records, a track called Locked On, and the vocal had this delay in it. This is an amazing delay. So of course it does a simple delay. I've grabbed the vocal from the media bay in Cubase 13, just a little bit of EQ so it's not too abrasive, and it's just bypassed here. Really simple, with the delay. I mean, yes, it's just a delay, but it's not just a delay. It's got some serious tricks in here. So, of course, you can tap tempo. You have your preset batch sort of level of preset, so you can actually store up to 8 at a time. You have distortion within the delay, so you can delay and then distort after the delay and stuff. Filters as well. It's got LFO, and if I open this little dialog here, you can see there's a full schematic of what it's done. You can see there's a full schematic of the routing. So delay to filter, distortion, and high shelf, and then your master output as well. So listen to as I'm doing it, what it's doing. Distortion. Some level. Feedback. So, I mean, it's really cool. So you kind of get in a distorted sort of tape delay. So I'm going to show another video of a Cubase plugin that does this as well. But what's cool about this is because it's sort of an earlier sort of delay plugin with lots of really cool features in it that no one was doing way back then, 20 years ago. It has a really cool capability to do like a distorted sort of tape, which I've not really seen yet. Like, you'll hear it in a second. So I'll play you a preset that I had like in one of my tracks. So I'm going to go to low preset here, and I'm going to go to Dreadlock. So this is what I used in my emotive release. You listen to it if you can find it on, it'll be online, Spotify, all that kind of stuff. And this is how I use the vocal. And that's how I use the vocal in the track. So it's kind of going on and on and on and on and on. And there's a bit of filtering going on there as well. Really cool. As well with other plugins in the chain, but at the time, there wasn't really a delay that kind of had that with the distortion in it. You had to put a delay, then a distortion, and then maybe another delay, and all that kind of stuff. It was all in one plugin here. So that's what I loved about this. And of course, it's synced to the tempo as well. But that's not what I wanted to show you. So there's a really cool preset in here, which is crazy. It's called Yellow Engine. So I'm going to take off the cycle marker, and I'm going to go to here. I'm going to go to Load Preset, and here we go, Yellow Engine. Just check this out, what it does. Come on. I mean, look at the analyzer. The analyzer's going sick. It's going crazy. And it's still going. I've stopped it. Wow. There you go, into the distance. Now that is a secret plugin. Amazing. Nothing does that. Nothing does that, what that does. And I still don't know exactly what it's doing. Like, it's going through the effects filters, then going through the LFO, and then LFO's then going through the filter. I don't know, but amazing plugin. So big shout out to the own boys for that. Their old plugins have been not rebranded, but they've been made 64-bit. So I'll put the details below. But this one is, nothing does that. And I did so many tracks with that, like with the vocal. It's still coming in. I've got to turn it off. I just go in. When I hear that, I want to make a track straight away. So hopefully you will as well. So yeah, I absolutely love that plugin. Yeah, it's first secret plugin. So there you go, on boys. So moving on, swiftly on. Here's a break. This is out of one of my tracks. I've resampled it in Cubase. So it's kind of like the master output. I've mastered the track, and then I've rebounced just the loops out of there. Obviously in Cubase you can do stem mastering, really simple now. Add it to a cue and all that kind of stuff. You can just bounce out the buses or the drum buses with the effects or without the effects, if you don't know that. And it's great to be able to just go, okay, I want the drum bus with the effects, and then I can print it back into Cubase, and that's what I've done here. But that's not what I want to show you. What I want to show you is what you can do with this next plugin. Okay, so open up the track, and there it is. Chopitch. It's even registered in my name. It took me years to get this registered in my name because I had to track down the person who made it, and he wasn't programming anymore, but it's like, I can do a key for you. And I was like, oh, I need it. And this was like back in the radio days and stuff. So yeah, because I was like, I need this plugin because I can't find it anymore. I have old tracks that could only do what this did with the beats and stuff, and I need it. And he kindly sent me a key. So the site's still up. Manual's still up on the plugins, and there's a few other plugins that he's done as well. Like I say, your mileage may vary. I'm using JBRIDGE on this one. I'll put JBRIDGE's link down below. JBRIDGE is a great program. It's really responsive and great for wrapping all your old plugins. I get a really high success rate of wrapping old 32-bit plugins in a 64-bit realm, if it isn't 64-bit yet already. Obviously, a plugin that this old is just 32-bit. So yes, it's called Mathon's Chopitch, and there's also Chop Pan and Chop Filter and a few other things as well. But this is another one of my secret plugins that I've been using on beats forever. It's in there isn't a track that doesn't have this on it. So it's great for doing this, like pitch shifting your beats. So you can see here the presets is like a bongo, a tom, sort of like a shaker, maracas, tape sort of effect. Is that guitar? And so each of these is like a sort of pitch emulation. So it's great to be able to hear them. You know them old school breaks, like if you hear like old hardcore and early jungle in the 90s and stuff, and then even coming up to the early 90s, 2000s and stuff, where people are doing like sort of pitch shifted intros with the breaks and breaking them down and that. This is great for doing that. And I always think, oh, how do we do that? And obviously, a lot of things like the hardware stuff and stuff, you know, a lot of people using the units, but this is great for it in a plugin realm to be able to do that. So turn it on. Preset. And we have a parallel knob as well, so we can actually get parallel processing on that, so you can kind of get the fat drum loop mixed with the pitch sound. So here's the mix knob here that does that. Do some gating. I use that one quite a lot. Plus you get the envelopes. Plus you can change the trigger type as well when it kicks in with that pitch, the threshold of it. So if you want to have like maybe a sort of funky drum loop going on, you can actually say, okay, I'm going to press D, I'm going to duplicate that loop, I'm going to go straight across to the second bar, and then I can say, okay, maybe copy this one to this lane, and then in the second lane I can say, okay, now I'm going to have chopitch in there. We've got loop mash on there, which I'm going to show in a minute. So chopitch is on here, and then I will have a normal loop going into the chopitch loop, and this is something that I do quite a lot. Keep going. Experiment. And again. Even more. Love it. So you can see there's another cool one. So if you're stuck with a loop that is even your own or wherever, a sample pack loop, and you kind of want to make it more your own or make it a bit funky, and you don't want to do rearranging and chopping, or you do rearrange it and chop it, and then it's like, okay, it just needs a bit more vibe, it needs a bit more zing, a bit more energy. This is a great plugin for that. I know there's loads out there that kind of do this similar type of vibe, but you got to remember 15 years ago, this wasn't even, we literally were almost in the software realm to start with. And so these kind of plugins were like gold dust. So yeah, Mathon's chopitch. And of course, you don't have to use breaks. I've only used it on breaks and percussion, to be honest. But why not try a vocal, maybe even a bass? And it's all limited by your own creativity, really, what you want to do with it. So great plugin. Love it. Okay, so our third and final one is Loop Mash Effects, and you may or may not have seen it. Of course, there was a Loop Mash instrument. I think we introduced it in Cubase, or if I'm not mistaken, Cubase 4, I think it was. So, or it might be in 5 actually. So it was an instrument, and then it got made into an effects a few years later. So the effects is great because it gives you the capability to do kind of what chopitch was doing, but a bit more control, but more features. And once you start adding stuff like automation, you see the real power in it. So let's have a look at it. You can see here all these different types of effects. So like pitch and time. All you got to do is hover over it as well. You can see the stutter effects here. Just hover over it again. Cycle effects. And there's like a gating one as well, which is great. Staccato it is, which is gate. And all you do is literally what we did before. You play it round and jam. And you can see here we're getting a real-time update of the waveform as well. So that's good to be able to see it. And that's good to be able to see exactly what we're working on. See, that's a good one for drum bass, for instance. I mean, obviously it can be any genre, but drum bass have that sort of like they call it the turnaround. So at the end of the bar, end of the third or fourth bar, pretty much end of the fourth bar, you have that sort of turnaround or rolls and drum rolls. And then this is great for doing that sort of turnaround at the end. Yeah, killer. I love that. And of course, a simple case of read, write in Cubase. So we were setting up read and write automation, and then it's just something like this. And that's it. Automation is written. I take off the write. And then let's maybe extend it, or even let's swap it around. So that one becomes the sort of funky one, and then this one becomes the OG. And then I will just turn it off there, loop mashed off there. And to keep things really nice and tidy, I'll put that one first and that one second. And I will, and that one second. And you can see here the automation that's written. So I'll probably do a chapter on automation at some point in later episodes, but you can automate absolutely anything and have full control over that as well. The automation, you can tilt and pan. You get the pencil tool, you can do fine automation. So yeah, the automation in Cubase is really, really deep. Love it. So original, OG, OG and the original. Another cool tip for you is if you're doing that is to maybe change the sort of color shade. So it goes a little bit lighter or just a totally different color. So you know that then this one is the original and then this one here is your affected one. Really cool to get some ideas and loops going, and obviously then you can resample that and bounce that down. So let's have a look at some of the other things that it can do. So it can do quite a lot. That was literally just the stutter side of things. So I'm going to open it up again. And here you can see here the other effects. So of course we have them sort of stutter effects, which are great, but we also have this as well. We have these sort of pitch down effects, tape stops. Rewind. That's a good one. And obviously, if you want to do a quick tape stop, yes, you could use automation and you could use the time tempo and stuff to do that. But this is easy. You just plug this on, read or write automation, and do a quick tape stop. Take the right off. That easy. It's that easy. Let's undo that. And it's cool, for instance, if you have loads of breakbeats running, to just do the breakbeats and then ease them back into a breakdown. It's great to be able to do that, like some sort of tidying as well. I love the gating one, although the chopitch one kind of did that as well. And it's good to be able to see what you're doing and have full control over it. Really good. And then we have our sort of like our double and sort of this whole cycle. So we have like our double and triple kicks and stuff. So I actually love that, you know. So even if you have a breakbeat, you're bringing funk back into this breakbeat. So let's do some right automation. And we can keep mixing that. I mean, come on, this is amazing to be able to do this nowadays. You couldn't do it in my day. You were literally chopping up, we call them micro chops, Akai, the Emu, my Yamaha A3000, my Yamaha A4000, my Yamaha A5000, loop remixing and then all chopping and micro chopping. We just fling a plugin on it. You know, amazing. And now I can just actually stretch it across now and start saying, okay, that's, you know, I can start getting my own sort of customized sound design type of loops. And there you go. So the world is your oyster when it comes to plugins. If you want to see any more, let me know in the comments. I have probably about, from back in the days, at least 100 plugins that are like this that I've been using throughout my whole career, on basses, on vocals, all that kind of stuff. And if you want to see any more secret ones, let me know and I'll dig them out. Make sure they work with the rappers and stuff, and make sure they don't crash anything, and because they're that old, you know, some of them. But there's some really cool ones. There's some really, really cool ones. And of course, we're going to do modern plugins. We are going to do modern plugins. Can't escape that. I want to show modern plugins, but I also love my old school, and that includes plugins. So I hope that helps. And yeah, I will see you in about a week. Peace.